Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. We've got something a little bit different today. This is something I've wanted to do for a while. We are going to look at a preview of the upcoming Heritage Signature Auction. And what you're looking at right here in front of me is a preview booklet that they send out before every signature auction. And honestly, I don't know how I started getting these. I don't know if I signed up for a mailing list or I just started buying things from Heritage, because I've done that a few times, but I know I started getting these in the mail, and I've gotten them ever since, and I saved them because they're pretty cool. So this next signature auction ends beginning April 4th. So the first session, which they call the Platinum Session, ends on April 4th, and it goes all the way through April 7th. So items are being bid on right now. And the jewel of the auction is this Action Comics #1, 8.5, Kansas City pedigree. You can see here. Now, this is it is going to break the all-time record of the most expensive comic book ever sold. So previously, and I hope I get this right, there were two sales over the past couple years. There was another 8.5 that sold on Comic Connect. I believe it was 2021. And I believe that has the record of something over $3 million. $3,250,000, something like that. That was an 8.5. And then fast forward to 2022, a 6.0 sold for just under that amount. I think it was like 3.18 million, something around there. It was a little bit less than the 8.5, but a 6.0 a year later almost sold for just as much as the 8.5. And those were both blue labels. Now we've got this 8.5 pedigree, and the Kansas City pedigree, I believe, is one of the oldest pedigrees in existence. And this thing is going to shatter that record. Last time I checked, I believe the auction was just over, the current bid was just over $5 million. So if that holds, that already shatters the previous record. Now, the big question is this going to get up to a $10 million book? That's what some people are asking. And the thought crossed my mind as well. My personal opinion, I don't think it's going to get there. Most people are thinking it's going to be somewhere around $7 million, give or take. So we'll see. It's got, about a week and a half to go here. And you can go on to their website or their app and check it out. But we're going to take a look at this preview book because there are a lot of amazing books. And if you've ever taken part or at least looked at what books Heritage makes available in their signature auctions, it's always crazy. All right, so we're just going to give you a peek into what these preview books look like. So you open it up, and this one actually has a fold. So it shows a couple more of the big books that are going to be offered, that are being offered right now. Here's a Superman #1 at a 5.0, Tech 27 at a 3.0, but it does have glue on the cover, minor amount, it says. So a couple more crazy books. Then you get to Captain America Comics #1 in a 9.2. I think this one could come in second place in this auction. And I believe it's over $300,000 right now, last I checked. But just an amazing book. And this is all going to be part of the Platinum Session, which is the first day. I think a couple sessions end on the first day, or maybe it's just the Platinum Session. I don't remember. But anyway, those are some of their bigger books. And then you've got, they have a nice little tribute to Ed Jaster. I did not know. Ed didn't have the pleasure of meeting him, but he passed away, sadly. I know a lot of people in the hobby spent time with him. He was at Heritage for quite a while, and sounds like he was a great person and a great person to work with. So very sad, but they did a little tribute to him in here, which was really cool. They put some pictures in there of some of the people he met, some of the collections he helped acquire. And then you get to the table of contents. Don't worry, I'm not going to spend this much time on every single page because this thing is really thick, as you can tell. And they've got to spend some good money on these, because there's a lot of really cool pictures and interesting information. So the Platinum session is first, and so they're going to show, they have almost, over 50 pages of pictures of the Platinum session. And then the Golden Age comic session happens after that. And then they have a session of Silver Age to Modern Comics. Then they have magazines, memorabilia. Then they have another Golden Age session, and those books, you can imagine, aren't quite as valuable as the first session, but regardless, they're going to be desirable books nonetheless. And then they go back to Silver to Modern Age, and then they go magazines and pulps, which are on fire, and then more memorabilia. Okay? All right. So they talk about the Platinum session. They actually call it a Platinum section here. And kind of neat. I haven't read this yet, but there's a 3-page letter from Jerry Siegel to Russell Keaton on the origin of Superman. I don't know what it's about, but they have a blown up version over here. And you can see it was written on June 12th, 1934 from Cleveland, Ohio. Very cool. I got to read up on it. Okay, then it talks a little bit about Action Comics #1 and the history behind the Kansas City pedigree. Again, I haven't read any of this yet. This just came in the mail a couple days ago, maybe about a week ago. So it talks more about the 8.5 that's for sale. And this is kind of cool. I did glance at this earlier. So this is the progression of Action Comics #1 over the years based on the Overstreet Price Guide. And the Overstreet Price Guide was first issued in 1970. That's what it looked like. And you can see all the different publisher logos on there. DC kind of right in the middle. EC over on the top right, which is kind of neat. You have Atlas, Marvel, MLJ, so Archie stuff, and American Comics Group. Really cool stuff. But anyway, so Action Comics #1, when Overstreet first came out in 1970, a mint copy of it was valued at $300. If we all had time machines. And then you can see the progression of it right up. 1980, it's now up at $9,000. By 1990, $32,000. And then it just keeps going up and up. So 2023, they're saying a 9.2 is valued at $6.6 million. So this 8.5 could eclipse that mark. So you can only imagine what a 9.2 would go for. Although you got to factor in some sort of premium for the pedigree. And I don't know what that is. Some people pay more for that than others. But anyway, then it gives some of the census data over here. All right, let's flip through this. Okay, some more big comics that are going to be offered. There's another Action Comics #1, 8.0. It's restored, but nonetheless, an 8.0. It's got for a Golden Age book to get a purple label, it's got to have a lot done to it. Color touch, pieces added, tear seals, clean, reinforced. Yeah, there was no way of avoiding a purple label on this one. All right, cool book regardless. AF-15, 6.5. Amazing Man Comics #22. Some other big books here. Avengers 9.6. Batman #1 in a lower grade. Here's the Captain America 9.2 that we talked about. Wow. 9.8. Daredevil #1. Another, oh no, this is the same Detective Comics that we looked at, right? The 3.0. And it's got glue on the cover, but it's still got a blue label. Interesting how those decisions are made, but I don't know. I'm sure there's some good reasoning behind it. And then this is kind of neat. Detective Comics 31. The very, very amazing Bob Kane cover. Highly, highly desirable. And even though it's a 2.5, and it looks like there's some tape on the interior cover and the centerfold, this is going to go for big bucks. You'll see. Some more early tech. Ooh, a nice 9.8 Fantastic 448 with Stan Lee's signature. And then a regular 9.8 blue label. Now, this is interesting. House of Secrets 9.8 with white pages, but it's a CBCS label. And I am not a CBCS hater. I don't buy CBCS books, and I've never used them. But I do know there are a lot of fans out there, so it'll be interesting to see where the value of this book ends up. Because we all know 9 out of 10 times you can take common books and the CGC book's going to sell for more, and usually significantly more than the CBCS counterpart. But this is a really rare book, so this one could fetch, a comparable amount of money. And who knows when the last 9.8 CGC sold, especially with white pages. First Loki in a 9.4. Justice League #1. Punch Comics 12 and a 5.5. Big book. Probably the most valuable crime book around. Crime, pre-code horror. Those two genres kind of overlap each other. But really desirable. Sensation #1. Not the first appearance of Wonder Woman, but a big book nonetheless. I think we're still in the platinum session here, right? Superman #1, 5.0. A 9.8 white pager. Tales of Suspense 39. First Iron Man. Crazy. Oh, but I want to show you something here. So the only thing, 9.8 white pager for a huge grail like this, it doesn't get any better than what you're seeing here, except for one minor detail. And it's the double quotes. So if you look at the word Iron Man here, if you look on the left side of Iron Man, it's got double quotes. And if you look on the right side, it's got a single quote. And then the second part of the double quote is cut off. So collectors put a premium on having those double quotes in there. And a lot of times, because there's a lot of variation in the way these books were cut back in the 50s, 60s, even into the 70s, though the double quote was cut off a lot. So this is still going to bring in a huge amount, but I don't think the people with the deep, deep pockets are going to pay quite as much because it's missing part of that double quote. Still, crazy, crazy book. And then here's, another example. Here's a 9.2. And look, the quote is cut off altogether on the right-hand side. All right. We may have some more examples in here I can show you. 9.8, Turtles #1, Wonder Woman #1, #2. And then the last thing they're showing as part of the Platinum session is this. Remember I said Pulp is on fire. And although I'm not a collector, I do admire the books. This is Weird Tales #118 in a 7.0. And one of the most popular artists of Pulps is a lady by the name of Margaret Brundage. Her books tend to go for a lot of money. I don't know a whole lot about Pulp, so I'm sure the experts out there will say, there's some other artists that are even more popular than Margaret. And there could be, but I do know this specific book commands a high dollar amount. All right. So it'll be interesting, especially since they're being graded now and there's less risk of, buying a pulp that's been modified at all or restored or trimmed or color touched. It's going to help with the value. Then you get into the Golden Age session and some early Action Comics, some timely All Select, All-Star #3, another Batman #1. This one's qualified. Let's see. Why is this one qualified? Centerfold Married. Okay. Centerfold, cover and 2 center wraps detached. And the centerfold is married. So someone found a centerfold from one book and put it into this book to make it a complete book, but it gets a green label. That's okay. Some other early Batman. Look, another Captain America Comics #1. This one's a 3.0. So if the 9.2 is too rich for your blood, you can go and spend, I don't know. I'm guessing this will at least be $100,000, $100,000 to $200,000. That's a wild guess. I don't even know on this one. That 9.2, we'll see if it gets up close to $1 million, but it's going to be a lot. Some other early Captain Americas. Some really nice grades too. Chamber of Chills, #19, classic cover that was used on one of the Misfits albums. Again, right, a CBCS slab. So it's nice seeing some of these bigger books in a CBCS slab just to get a better idea of what kind of value it'll pull in. This will be really interesting to do a comparison to some of the recent sales of CGC. Some early tech. First Mickey Mouse in Comics, 4-color comics number 16. And look at this, Haunted Thrills, number 6 and a 9.2. I showed one of these in my last video. I picked up a 3.0 recently, hoping to get it up to a 4.0. This 9.2, yeah, in my dreams, right? In a lot of our dreams, we'd be able to afford something like this, but just a really, really amazing cover. All right, you can see some more. Some of these EC books are Gaines file copies. This one's a 9.6 Gaines. So, big money there. LB Cole cover, mask number 2. Matt Baker, Phantom Lady 17, probably the most desirable of all the Phantom Lady books. Oh, another Punch Comics 12. This one's a 4.5. Let's see. Robot cover, Startling Comics 90. What is it? Oh, 49. Sorry. Startling Comics 49. Submariner number 1. Another Superman 1 with a 1.0, but it's got a lot of notes on it. Spine split, cover detached, coupon cut out in the 17th page, incomplete. Why does this not get a green label with a coupon cut out? I do know CGC sometimes gives you the option of, but even with a split spine and completely detached, it would probably be a 1.0. They give you the option of going blue or green label if you have something cut out of it. And I think if you have a cutout, I think typically it would be a 0.5, wouldn't it? So I don't know. I haven't read the CGC grading book yet, so I won't pretend to fully understand it. Another Superman number 1, restored 7.0. Some early Superman. Tomb of Terror. Okay, so this Tomb of Terror number 15, this will be interesting because it was either 6 or 6.5 just sold on Comic Link this week and set a new record. The previous record was just 2 months earlier in January for that grade. So it'll be interesting to see if this 7.5 sets a record for the 7.5 grade. But the classic exploding face cover. Another nice pre-code horror book, Weird Mysteries number 5. The Brain cover. You don't see this one quite as often. Some Zip comics. And then you get into the next session, which is Silver Age to Modern Age. I'll just breeze through this. A lot of high grade ASM. 9.4 first Green Goblin, really nice. 9.8 first Punisher. What were these? Oh, bound volumes. Seen more and more of these pop up recently on different auction sites. Okay. So 9.8 white pager, Captain America number 100. And I was hoping we'd find another first Iron Man, Tales of Suspense 39. 8.0 Incredible Hulk number 1. It'll be interesting to see that book. Oh, first Wolverine, Hulk 181, 9.8 white pager. One just sold on Comic Link this week, white pages for $61,000. That's on the low end. There were some at the end of last year that I think got into like the high 50s. And then at the beginning of this year, they kind of went back up to like $68,000, $69,000. So dropping back down to $61,000 this week. I don't know if that's going to be a trend or not, but we know some of these keys continue to price correct over the past 18 months or so. First Thor, and then 8.0. All right, so 9.8 Submariner number 1, and this looks like it's a pedigree as well. Oh, Western Pen pedigree. I don't know a whole lot about the history of some of these pedigrees, but you know, that should sell for more than a typical 9.8 white pager. We shall see. Oh, here we go. Oh, Tales of Suspense number 1 and a 9.0 white pages. Don't see this book too often. And then, here we go. Oh, great example. So again, Tales of Suspense 39, looking for the double quotes on the Iron Man, and look, you've got them on both sides. So this book was cut perfectly for the collector out there that's looking for those double quotes. I'm expecting this 8.0 to go for more than some of the other 8.0s that have sold recently. We'll see. Maybe even more than an 8.5 that didn't have the double quote. So there you go. Really good example. And then again, right, another one, and it does not have the double quote. So we've seen 4 of them, and only one of the 4 has the double quote. So harder to get that. All right, so there you have it. That's the rest of it. Gets into some modern stuff, and and then the last session, they just show a bunch of books. Look at all these Captain America comics. They're still crazy valuable books, even though they're part of the I'd say less valuable sessions, but just really, really cool. Anyway, that's it. Hope you guys enjoy this. I've been wanting to do a preview of how Heritage does their signature auctions, and you can tune in at least for the first couple sessions on April 4th and watch it live. They have a guy on their website or on the app, wherever you're watching it, and he's up there. There are people live at the show, at Heritage, that are bidding live, and then they incorporate the online bidding as well. So it's all kind of happening at the same time, and the guy's calling out the bids, and guy or girl, whomever it is. And it's kind of fun to watch for a little while, and then it's, not so much fun to watch after you get through some of the bigger books. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. Leave me some comments. Let me know your thoughts. And do we think this book will sell for $10 million? I think I'm betting the over-under around $7 million. So we shall see. Hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, have a great day.